This video will provide an overview of the production area in Document Manager. One thing to note about production is that when you hover over the production area in the navigation menu, it actually splits into three separate areas: workflow, active user, and stats. In summary, the workflow provides a production queue list in the form of tabs of all of the different steps in your production process. Jobs from orders get dumped into the Assign To tab, and you have the ability to work on these in each department and move them through the process. The Active User section provides tabs for the currently logged in active user to see what jobs are assigned to them so they can focus on those jobs. Also, if you're a production manager, you can basically focus on who should be assigned which job, and you can assign those jobs accordingly. The stats area provides a full view of statistics related to all of the different orders, and you can see they're sorted by different categories. But we're going to focus on the production queues. So one thing to note, as I mentioned, is new orders fall under the To Assigned tab by default, but you do have the ability not only to change the names of all of these tabs, but also to change the order, and they can be rearranged in settings. Let's show some of the information that you're presented with here. So you can see we start with To Assign, and then it goes typically to the graphics queue, or Out on Proof, or Hold. And once it's done with that and it's ready to move to the presses, we've got the digital press, offset press, and wide format. Also apparel for some shops, outsourced for some shops. Over here, typically, then it would move on to bindery and shipping. If it's just getting picked up locally, it could be ready for pickup. And then when it's ready to be posted, it can go to be invoiced. When a job has been posted and invoiced, it can be moved to the completed queue, which is invisible. You don't see it here, but just to let you know, completed jobs do move to a queue called completed. Now here we have our typical search areas on the left-hand side. So you can search for jobs very easily here. Don't forget, you can search multiple entries and you can search by tags as well. And then we have our view here. Now, one thing to note about the production views is that they are particular to each actual queue that you're in. So for example, if you click on the graphics queue, you notice the information in these columns changes slightly to reflect to the queue that you're in. So here, for example, it gives me the graphics due date. However, if I click on the digital press tab, it will give me information that's relevant to press information. For example, the quantity, the name of the press, the name of the stock, which you can hover over to get more information. Depending on the type of press, it will give me ink colors. It will give me the press due date, and so on. Another good example is if I go to shipping, we'll see another change relevant to shipping information, such as the address, the customer name, the delivery ship date, all of these things. So each of these views is particular to each production queue with slight adjustments. Also, since they're actually all generated in HTML in settings, these can be customized given HTML knowledge. So the key thing about working through production is to simply select a job or jobs. So I can just click on this, and these buttons become active. So again, I can apply bulk actions on items, notes, and statuses. I can print a work order, an outsourced PO, or do an export. But typically what you would do is just move this job to the next step in the process. So you would go from To Assign to graphics, click on Save. Typically the graphics person would be working out of this queue. They would take a look at the graphics information on that job. They would look at setting up a timer, maybe using actual or estimated time for that job. When they're done their work, working with the proofs and making sure it's approved, they can move it to the next step. So in this case, maybe I want to move it to the digital press. And I would click Save. This is just an example of what I'm moving around. Click on digital. You'll see the numbers show the total number of jobs in each queue. And again, it's just a rinse and repeat. So they would select the job. Once they're done their work in the digital queue, move it on. And as you can see, it's just a matter of moving it to the next step. So they could move it, for example, to shipping or ready for pickup. They could post it and move it to be invoiced after an invoice has been printed or emailed. And then when it's done, it can be moved into the completed queue.